series. I've given you guys the academic portion of that, or the abbreviated version of. So to actually fly this sortie is going to be pretty crazy. We're going to take off out of Kunsan. Weather should give us runway 36, I believe. We're going to just do a real simple interval takeoff. So we will take off with 10-second spacing, and then we'll actually start out the left-hand turn and climb out to the MOA independently. And you guys can rejoin if you like, but there's no rush on it because you're then gonna, as soon as we get into the MOA, kick off a bit to do your own thing as well. Because HARTS is not a formation game; it's really not. So pretty much, I'm gonna try
We can do
and
it in
orbit somewhere.
formation. It's just gonna be a whole lot
Very dangerous, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to be flying near you. If you guys fly into each other, you know what? I'm just not doing the paperwork for it. So I'm going to orbit off somewhere to the south. I'll probably sit around 15,000, and try and keep visual with both of you guys. I'm not going to be paying either of you 100% attention. Normally, I'd fly this with a specific student, but I mean, we're not doing this as a student thing. We're doing this as a for the hell of it thing. I'll probably at some point practice some of them myself. So with that in mind, try and be above 10,000 on your entry characteristics, because if you screw it up, you don't want to hit the ground. So yeah, hard deck of 10,000 obviously, and we'll take our soft deck of 12. So if you're above 12 on your entry, that'll work out fine. From that, frequencies are pretty simple. We'll just be on Uniform 6, Victor 1. So that seems to be the standard around here. And what am I missing? Yeah, I guess I'll set up TACAN on 1-1 Yankee. So if you guys want to be on 6-4, you'll be able to get ranging to me at least. Other than that, I'll actually brief the tactical portion of the flight once we get out there. So I'll breach each maneuver independently. Post tactical points, what have we got? We've got Bingo and Joker. Standard Bingo for operating in Kunsan is a Joker of 2,800. So if you get down to... No, that's Bingo's 2,800. So if you get down to 2,800, we RTB to Kunsan. If you get down to, we will call it 3,800, it'll be a case of complete your current exercise, but we won't start a new maneuver. So we won't start briefing a new one if we're down to less than 3.8. And if we're down to 2.8, we RTV. It is conservative. It's a real world figure chosen to allow us to make it to Kunsan, fly a couple of approaches at Kunsan, abort all of them, and then fly over to Osan and recover there. Fun stuff. So with that in mind, we've got our fuel. There's no minimum weapon state required because it's a training mission and we're not employing weapons. What other contingencies could we have? SARCAF, if one of you guys needs to punch out, which, yeah, like I said, I'm just not going to do the paperwork for it, so we won't worry about it. Is there any questions or anything that I should explain before we take off?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Cool. You guys are ready to commit to ramp start?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Cool. I'm going take off ramp. Python 1, check in on Victor.
2 checking in Victor, check Discord mute.
3 checking in on Victor.
Python 1, lab 0.
Going to sound tower, cleared for departure. Flapper 2-1, hold short. Panther 1-1, going to sound tower, resume on navigation. Flapper 2-1, taxi, runway 36. Panther 1-2, going to sound tower, resume on navigation. Flapper 2-2, taxi, runway 36.
Concern Tower, Python 1, flight of 4, F-16, taxiing and holding short, runway 36, Concern Tower.
Python 1-1, going to sound tower, position and hold.
Three ready, taxi.
2 ready for taxi.
Python taxi in sequence.
Flapper 2-1, going to sound tower, cleared for departure.
1, altimeter setting.
Altimeter setting 3028.
2.
3. You guys fly out of Kunsan a lot?
Nope. Or Osan.
Decide to. It's at 10 feet of altitude. So if you just set the altimeter to read 10, that'll give you the current one. Obviously that'll only work while you're on the ground.
Flapper 2-1, Untitled Chapter. Resume on navigation. Flapper 2-2, Untitled Chapter. Resume on navigation.
But you've actually got like another 2 meters to go before you hit the line. What you can do is if you have a look down at your canopy rail, about halfway along the canopy rail there's a join in it, a vertical seam. Can you see that?
Yeah.
There's actually 2 of them, one that's close to the stick and then one that's close to the oxygen panel.
Yeah.
The one close to the oxygen panel, if you count 3 rivets forwards from that, and put the yellow circle, if you put the back edge of the yellow circle on that rivet. Perfect, then you're on it. I'm not a good example because I'm actually parked a little bit too far forwards.
That's actually the problem with the other 3 degrees of freedom. Since my head was, well, as soon as I move my head forward, this whole thing starts to fall apart.
Yeah, you have to have your head limited to a set position. Probably works great if you're strapped into the aircraft, not so much if you can move your head wherever.
But it works if I go all the way back, then I have a reference. Now I have a reference.
I mean, I guess I can't tell you how to pick your references. There's probably other ways of doing it, but yeah, all that we're really looking for is that the engine inlet, which is basically behind your backside, is on the edge of that yellow circle. And yeah, I don't mind in it rather than on it. If you guys are ready for taxi, I'm happy to go now.
2.
3 ready. Kunsan Tower, Python 1, flight of 4 F-16s entering and lining up, runway 36 departing to the west, Kunsan traffic.
One be advised. Oh, okay, this guy's coming to a stop.
Python 1-1, Untitled Chapter, taxi clear of the runway. Python 1-2, Untitled Chapter, taxi clear of the runway. Python 1-4, taxi, runway 36. Python 1-3, Untitled Chapter, taxi clear of the runway.
I'm sorry, what did we brief for takeoff lineup?
You know, I actually forgot to brief the lineup. So if you guys want to do a rolling takeoff, that's fine. But I'm just going to go now, basically.
Fury 3-1, Untitled Chapter, you're cleared for takeoff, runway 36. Python 1-1, Untitled Chapter, resume on navigation. Python 1-2, Untitled Chapter, resume on navigation.
2 airborne.
Python 1-3, Untitled Chapter, resume on navigation.
3 airborne.
God, I love the aircraft in a clean configuration.
When did that happen?
Python 1-4,
Well, we're basically
hold short.
clean at this point without wing tanks. It's not as good as it could be with the
Resume on
missiles.
navigation. Fury 3-2, Untitled Chapter, resume on navigation.
Vincent Tower, Python 1, so clear of your airspace at 8,000, entering MOA 17 and pushing tactical. Python flight, push uniform 6.
Python 1-2 checking in uniform 6.
Python 3 on uniform 6.
Python flight, check in on uniform 6.
Python 1-2 checking in uniform 6.
Python 3 checking in on uniform 6.
And Python flight's checked in. Alright, so there's a bit of a weather layer at 11,000. I'm actually debating whether we're going to be above or below the weather. No, it's going to have to be above, alright. And break out at 13,000, this will be fine. Three, do you want to send 4 home?
Already did.
Roger that.
I think I did at least.
Yeah, he seems to be at 7,000 feet and climbing still.
4, on the dot.
Alright guys, you guys clear of clouds at this point?
Affirmative.
Go.
Alright, so I'll just run through the brief for the HARTS maneuver number 1, the unload maneuver, and then whenever you're ready, feel free to jump into it. So we're setting up at least 10,000 feet. We're going to slow down to 250 knots per entry. We're going to, when we start it, select mil power and leave it in mil power. And we're going to double check neutral, trim and fuel balance, which should both be the case at this point. When you start the manoeuvre, it's going to be a case of select mill power and pull back to 30 degrees pitch, and then hold 30 degrees pitch. So you're looking for the gun cross, which is the small cross at the top of the HUD. Put that on the 30 degree pitch ladder and leave it there. And just hold it there until you get to 25 degrees angle of attack. Two ways you can tell you're at 25 degrees angle of attack. On the backup display panel, below the altimeter and next to the ADI, there's an angle of attack meter. That'll tell you you're at 25 degrees. The other way is you'll be pulling back on the stick, fall back on the stick, and the aircraft just will not go any slower. So those are your two cues that you're at 25 degrees angle of attack. You'll have to pull all the way back, and it's going to be fighting you for it. When you're stable at 25 degrees, unload, release the pressure, and watch the angle of attack drop immediately and automatically without further input from you. You're then just going to wait for the aircraft to accelerate to 200 knots, and then you can pull the aircraft back up to level flight. Any questions?
2 negative.
3 confirming the start speed of the maneuver is 250.
250 KCAS, that is correct.
3 is ready.
At your discretion, guys.
Three is pushing out a bit to the north.
Roger that. There's no rush on it, Luke, but your next turn ought to be a right-hand turn to just stay inside the MOA.
Two completed maneuver at this time.
I got to watch the start of it, but not the end. Did you feel comfortable with it?
Yeah, I noticed some buffeting. Airframe started to vibrate. And I had the angle of attack coming up on 25 degrees. I released the back pressure and just let it fly down.
And straight away you see that angle of attack drop to below 15, which is a really important trait of the aircraft. We care about that a lot. How you doing with it, 3?
I did it once, I'm gonna do it one more time.
Yeah, 2 is doing it also one more time.
Whenever you're ready, guys. All good. Not waiting on me.
2, done with second pass.
3 is done.
Righto. I'll give you guys the briefing now for HARTS number 2. As a refresher, we're setting up at above 10,000 feet. Double check. Entry speed for this one, feel free to go to mill to catch up. You're going to need to set 350 knots. When you start the manoeuvre, you'll be at 350 knots, mill power, neutral trim, fuel balance. So I'll get you to double check that you're fuel balanced. You can do that easily by looking at your fuel gauge. If you can't see any red on the fuel gauge, then you've got your balanced fuel. For this one, you're going to set 60 degrees of pitch, and you're going to hold that 60 degrees pitch until 200 knots. At 200 knots, you're going to roll inverted towards the nearest horizon, and then you're going to apply as much aft stick as required to get the nose below the horizon. Once the nose is below the horizon, let the aircraft accelerate to 200 knots, then roll upright and recover to level flight. Any questions?
2 negative.
3 negative.
Alright, I'm just going to repeat that one more time. You're going to start 60 degrees of pitch, hold 60 degrees of pitch to 200 knots, roll inverted, get the nose below the horizon, wait for 200 knots, roll upright, recover the aircraft. In your own time, gentlemen.
Too soon. Should have waited for 200. Okay, 2 completed. I just rolled out too early. I was still below 200 knots when I rolled from the inverted to level again.
Definitely try to avoid that if you can. 3, I'll just suggest when the nose starts to get that steep on the dive, you can actually push forwards on the stick quite a bit, just to try and stop digging holes with the nose. We don't want to use the nose as a shovel if possible.
3 copy.
If you guys wanted to do those again, or if you wanted to move on, up to you. So again, the general process there. The reason we care about waiting for 200 knots is because the aircraft handles best above 200 knots for dive recoveries. The absolute minimum airspeed to perform a dive recovery at is 150 knots. You wait for 200 unless altitude is a factor.
2, I'm gonna do at least one more time.
3 same.
2 starting now.
In your own time, guys. Like I said, it's familiarization. It's just trying to get that confidence and that practice handling it. So whenever you're ready. You'll find as soon as you've got the nose a little bit below the horizon, at that point you can basically stop applying that pressure. So as soon as the nose is back down to the horizon, it'll still keep tracking through a bit, and at that point basically just release that aft pressure. The nose will still keep moving anyway. You might possibly have to push forwards a bit on the stick as well. If you get down to the pure vertical, something's definitely gone wrong, especially for it being this manoeuvre.
Three is going to perform well one more time.
2 same.
Feel free, I'm not charging you per manoeuvre.
You better not.
You may find on the later ones you will get down to the pure vertical, both up and down, and it's It just generally means that you haven't performed it as efficiently as you could have, but it's a lot easier for it to happen on the later ones. If you can't avoid it on the first ones, it might mean you need to be a little bit more aggressive at the start with trying to stop that nosedive, basically. Like this, when we're not slowed down by wing tanks and bombs on the wings, this is how an F-16 was meant to fly. And just whenever you guys have completed your next manoeuvre, I'll give me an ops check as well.
3 is done.
One's ops check, 5.6 to 2832 tank speeding.
Three ops check, 5.3, thanks fading.
Ah, still didn't wait for the 200. Completed the third maneuver. Ops check is 052. And tanks feeding? Not sure about that. Isn't tanks referred to bags?
Yeah, it does. You know what? I had a complete mental blank there. Yeah, we're not carrying tanks. Wow, I don't know what I was thinking.
No problem, just needed to confirm.
No, you got the right of that. Just, wow, I have no words.
Yeah, that's the reason why you don't charge us.
Clearly just a test. I was just seeing if you're on your toes, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Alright, if you guys are happy with that, I'll give you the briefing for HARTS number 3.
2.
3.
Okay, for HARTS number 3, we're setting up above 10,000 feet. Everybody's got that. Your entry speed for this is going to be 300 knots. That is 300 knots. Mil power, neutral trim, fuel balanced. You're going to pull up to 50 degrees pitch for this one, 50 degrees pitch, and you're going to hold that until you hear the stall warning horn. So you should hear the stall warning horn on this one. At the horn, do exactly what you've been doing. You're going to roll inverted to the nearest horizon. You're going to apply sufficient aft stick to get the nose tracking downwards. That might not be very much. You're going to have to stop the roll before you start to apply that aft stick, and this is where it's going to be really noticeable. Do not roll and pull at the same time. Right, so you're going to roll inverted, stop the roll, then apply aft stick to get the nose tracking below the horizon. Once the nose is below the horizon, stop pulling on the stick, possibly start pushing on the stick. Once the airspeed gets up to 200 knots, roll upright, recover the aircraft. Does that make sense?
2.
3. In your own time.
Entry 300, pull up to 50 degrees, wait for the horn, turn inverted, nose below the horizon, wait for 200 and turn wings level, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So waiting for 300 knots. Going mill, pulling 50 degrees. Waiting for the horn. Should be somewhere around 126 knots. Here it comes. Alright. A little bit.
Tell I needed to practice on that one.
A little bit more of.
That was a bit shaky. I think I'm going to have a crack at the second one.
Two same. Alright, setting up. Initial parameters. Going for 300 knots. And I have to go 50 degrees nose up. 300 knots, here it is. Full middle, 50 degrees up. Hold it there. It's actually not that easy to hold it at a certain pitch level. Here's the horn. And here we go.
Take two was a little bit better anyway.
Alright. Let's do that again. This going for take 3. Slow it down a bit. Establish on 300 knots. Established. 4 mil. Pull.
Only other tips I might suggest is with your pull-up, try to avoid using more than 3 Gs. 2.5 Gs is perfectly fine for the pull-up, and the lower altitude you are, the easier you'll find it to perform successfully.
What did you say about lower altitudes?
Lower altitudes, you've got more air, more dense air, so it's easier to perform the manoeuvres at lower altitudes.
Need to put my stick a little bit. Just my stick because it hit the desk here. Which is not that practical doing HARTS maneuvers. If your stick is fighting you physically. Alright, 2 is going to give it one more try at Angels 13. Okay. Right. Go for the 300.
When I roll over to the dive, it rolls a bit too much every time.
Absolutely, and that's something you have to pay attention to. So that overroll is very easy to happen. You're going to need a lot of opposite stick to counteract that tendency.
3 is gonna do it one more time.
Waiting for the horn.
you'll find to a little bit of an extent it'll help if you avoid combining rolls and pulls. So decrease the angle of attack first with even positive forward stick, but just definitely release all that stick pressure, and then start your roll. Once the nose is below the horizon, once it's inverted, stop the roll. You will need positive stick to stop the roll, and once you've stopped the roll, then start applying it. And you'll find the nose will be coming down as you're doing this, so you might not need any aft stick at all to get the nose moving down. What you care about isn't about how much you're pulling back on the stick for this. What you care about is how fast the nose is dropping. You want the nose to go down.
Altitude. Altitude.
Correspondingly, you don't want to dig a hole with the nose. So once you've got that nose down below the horizon, the aircraft accelerates fastest unloaded. So if you can set 0G, you'll have to push forwards on the stick to do that. You'll accelerate fastest by setting 0G and just sitting it and letting it sit there. And with that, you'll probably get dives around about 60 degrees rather than 90 degrees.
Okay, nice. I had an interesting situation right here. I almost broke the hard deck of 10,000. I was, yeah, somehow in a stall. Need to have a look at that in the ACMI. I'm not really sure what happened right here.
Oh shit, I'm turning that on now, by the way.
Yeah, I have everything. Almost everything. My first one, not the first one, but after that I have everything.
Might have to get that off you, because yeah, I completely forgot about the ACMI too. I'm doing a great job tonight, hey?
Yeah, as I've already stated, that's the reason why you don't charge us. Okay, that's 2, and I'm ready for HARTS 4, if I'm not mistaken.
3 is ready too.
Alright, so now we get on to the fun stuff. Parts number 4, I'll definitely check out that stall. Higher altitudes can induce the stall. Configurations other than what we've got can induce the stall. Ham-fisting the stick can induce a stall. So they normally fly this in a 2-seater, so the instructor can take over if need be, and they're normally very careful about making sure when you do this, you first do your pitch and then your roll. So you get off the stick first, you don't do roll and pull at the same time, and I guess I haven't emphasised that enough, but I'll come back to that after the flight. For number 4, you're going to be at 15,000 feet minimum. We're going to be setting 250 knots, mil power, neutral trim. You're going to roll into 10 to 20 degrees angle of bank, and then from that you're going to set that angle of bank and forget about your bank, don't touch it. You're then going to pull back on the stick, and it's pull your stick back all the way, pull to the limiter, right? This is a limiter pull, and just sit there holding that limiter pull until you hear the horn. Once you hear the horn, then you start making your normal recovery as we've been doing them. Once you're back at 200 knots, let me know. Any questions?
2 negative, no questions.
3 is ready.
Alright, well, last tip then. Like I said, do not make your pitch and roll inputs at the same time. That's what we're trying to drill here, is you make your roll inputs and your pitch inputs, but separately from each other. In your own time, guys, whenever you're ready.
Confirm entry airspeed of 250 knots, right?
250 knots, that's correct. And you're going to eventually end up probably around about 50 to 70 degrees nose high before you hear the horn.
But again, we are setting mil power after entry of the maneuver, right?
Set mil power as you enter the maneuver.
Affirm.
Yeah, we're under the fun ones, basically.
Okay, at least 15k altitude, and just 15. 250 knots.
This maneuver gets me to pretty low recovery altitudes.
Yeah, I did note that. It might be worth starting from 17,000.
Will do.
Okay, going up to 17,000. Need to go way slower on the pull. Way too much G. Was a violent G there. Okay, 250 knots. 16.5 angels. Going full mill. Hitting a bank. 20 degrees. Pulling stick. Hard to the back aft stick. Okay, rolling, releasing pressure on the stick. Rolling left. $200 knots, rolling. Okay, that was interesting too. I think my bank was too much for that one. I'm climbing
So,
back up.
what's your airspeed?
280 knots. I'm climbing up back to Angel 17 and doing it one more time. At least one more time, because this one is really interesting.
Interesting is a good word for it.
Okay, hitting almost hitting Joker there. Okay, let's go for another maneuver. Entry of 250 knots. Slow down a bit. Okay, we slowed down now. Full mill, bank angle, and pull, full aft stick. 2G. Here comes the horn, rolling to the next horizon. This one looks good. Falling back.
What was your entry airspeed to?
250 knots.
Bingo.
Rolling upper right again. 2 just hit Joker.
Three second.
Clear that away. 2800
Alright,
knots.
it's up to you guys for this one. I don't anticipate us needing to head back to Osan, as it's not an official training flight. If you guys want to fly past Joker to get in a few more shots at numbers 4 and 5, I'm okay with that. We can revise Bingo down lower in accordance. Alternatively, if you prefer, we can RTB now. It's up to you guys.
I'm for doing the last maneuver. Should work like 2 times.
3.
Roger that. Okay. So in that case, I'll get you guys to let me know once you get down to 2,200. And at 2,200, we'll RTB.
2, bingo, 2,200.
3 bingo at 2200.
That should give us the fuel to be able to do at least 4 more steps. So if you wanted to have another go at number 4, that's fine.
I'm gonna try it one more time.
Just as a reminder, it's a limit to full on the start, so all the way back on the stick. So set your angle of bank, 10 to 20 degrees, somewhere in there, then forget about it. Then the stick all the way back, straight away, hold it until you hear the horn, then do your recovery.
So there are some violent G's going on there, right?
Max G's, the max it'll let you have.
Alright. Okay, that's gonna change up things again.
That's why they do the centrifuge training first, by the way.
Alright, 250 knots,
So
going
to be fair,
mill.
at this point, they've already done intro to fighter fundamentals in a, what is it, T6.
Rolling left.
Off to the old school guys in the T38.
Alright, that looks... that's okay. That's working for me. Waiting for 200. Rolling left. And pulling out. Using throttle.
Altitude. Altitude.
Breaking a deck right here.
To be fair, for this manoeuvre, you won't actually get too harsh Gs because you're actually below the airspeed that it'll let you pull max G at. If you pull more than 5, I'll be quite surprised.
Yeah, it goes to about 3.5 or 4.
I just managed to get 4.3 G's out of that.
I've gotten 4.3, but I think for me it might have been on the dive recovery. I wasn't paying attention to when it happened.
Yeah, that could have happened here too. But I broke the deck.
Hard deck or the soft deck?
The hard deck.
Alright, well, you know, this would be the point where real world we'd call a knock it off, an RTB, and we'd call a large briefing, and you get to explain to me why you died and crashed your aircraft into the ground. But you know what, if you just want to continue and don't do it again, I'm cool with that.
I'm gonna opt in for option 2.
Option 2, okay, gotcha.
It's pretty interesting to hear the explanation for why he dived into the ground. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you guys that when we have a beer.
Well, it's the reason for the hard deck in the first place is you've got the soft deck, which is do not break that. That's an exercise. That's your participation. Knock it off. We reset the manoeuvre, and you go through the hard deck. That's basically, well, if we didn't have the hard deck, you'd have just crashed into the ground. So Explain to me what was worth ploughing yourself into the ground for.
I didn't want to pull that much G.
Gotcha. Worried about over-G the aircraft? What were you, yeah, it's all cool. We'll cover it on the debrief anyway. You guys can look forward to more of me yammering. I'll probably cover a little bit about dive recovery, characteristics of the F-16, and the flight control laws of the F-16, as well as the deep stall. Incredibly boring topics, I assure you. Knowing how the plane flies, who would want to know about that kind of shit?
Who cares about that? I just want to drop bombs.
I actually just want to strafe shit, to be honest.
After this kind of thing, who could blame you?
Okay, I'm ready for number 5.
3 is ready too.
Alright, it's exactly the same as what you're doing. Only difference is you start at 300 knots instead of 250. So again, that reminder, you're going to set up at least 17,000 feet for this one. 300 knots,
Check.
milk power, neutral trim, fuel balanced. I'll get you to check that for me. Just have a quick look at your fuel gauge, make sure it's white needles, no red on the needles. From that point onwards, you're going to roll into 10 to 20 degrees of bank, somewhere in there, and then forget about it. And then you're just going to do a limiter pull all the way back on the stick, max G that the aircraft will give to you. I don't care about modulation, just pull the stick all the way back and hold it there until you hear the horn. This time, because you're starting at higher airspeed, you should get probably somewhere around the vertical. It's the same recovery as before, but this time it's a little bit more complicated because you have to pick which is the nearest horizon. Look for that nearest horizon, roll towards it, and get the nose moving in the direction of that horizon. And again, remember, don't combine your roll and your pull. Roll to set your horizon, stop the roll, then pull the nose down towards the horizon. Understood?
2.
3.
In your own time, guys. Looking forward to it. This is the first one for which, if you do change direction during it, I won't necessarily view that as some level of mistake.
Okay, I'm gonna set up on a heading of 230, so I know which way I was flying when I started the maneuver. And I'm gonna go and shoot for... oh, okay. Let's watch out for our buddies. Okay, I'm gonna shoot for an altitude
For you guys
of...
are giving me a fantastic demonstration of the characteristics of the radar scope as well. It's a bit screwed up now, but that was awesome.
Okay, let's see. At least 17,000. 16. Here we see him doing that stuff. That's number 3, I reckon. And here he goes. Looking good, buddy. Okay. 230 it is. Let's go for some airspeed. Let's pull it up to middle power. We need 300 knots.
1, what's your altitude?
19,000.
Alright, I'm gonna wait a bit, just so I don't climb into you.
Okay.
Roger
Here's the
that,
30
deconflicting out of your way.
going full middle, setting bank, full pull. And this is full aft stick. 5.5 Gs. Still pulling. No horn.
You should be clear.
Why is no horn coming?
And 2, I'm visually deconflicting from you.
It's interesting. Okay, let's see. Alright, this time I didn't get a horn.
If you didn't get the horn, that kind of suggests something went wrong. Quite possibly not a sharp enough pull.
Okay, let's see. I need altitude.
How much G's did you get?
5.5.
So starting at 300 knots, that seems a bit low. Do you have a force sensing stick by any chance?
Negative.
Alright, so you physically pulled the stick all the way back.
Yeah, that's a positive.
What was your starting altitude?
angel 17. Maybe
What
5.
was your minimum airspeed?
I don't remember. I think something. I think I got below 100 knots, but I was well, there was a pretty bank angle going on there.
If it was too steep a bank angle, that could have done it. It's a stall warning horn, but not really. I'll explain the characteristics of the horn in a bit, but for now, just the nose has to be high for it to come on, or the landing gear down. Those are the two conditions that have to be true. So give it another crack. This time, maybe don't bank quite as hard. Just a little bit of, 10 to 20, and then pull.
Confirm. Okay, banking, mill power, and full pull. Now here's the horn. Pulling in on the side. Here's the horizon. Pulling down.
If your bank angle is set, you should really be getting the nose vertical as part of this maneuver.
Altitude. Altitude.
I don't believe it. Come on, give me a break. Whew. Okay, this was 40 feet above the ground. I need to.
At least you didn't bust it this time.
Yeah, I didn't bust it, but I need to check out why this appears to why this happens, because I have the airspeed. I have my 200 knots. I roll to get my initial heading. And
My suggestion would be what's happening, and it's only a thought, mind you, but it could just be that you're getting very steep. What's your dive angle looking like at the start of when you start your recovery?
I think that might be the reason. I don't exactly remember it, but we have it all on tape.
So for the speeds we're looking at here, if you get to pure vertical down, you could be looking at quite a low altitude pull out. To be honest, I set a very conservative hard deck there. You wouldn't need it to be that high for these exercises. 5,000 feet would easily be sufficient for them. But conservative's not necessarily a bad idea.
Okay, slowing down 10 knots. So I have my 300 knots.
Three is gonna go from one more time, then I'm probably gonna go bingo.
2 is same.
Roger that. It's
Full
definitely
mill.
good practice.
Full pour. So, 5.6 Gs, that's not much. at least for this exercise. Why did that happen again? Okay, I'm gonna roll out here. Do it again. Let's see what happened. I'm really not sure what's going on
Oh,
here.
that's a lot of fun to watch.
Okay, let's see. Try to stay.
Did it look good?
Good to watch anyway.
Okay, setting a heading of 90.
Oh, that was embarrassing.
300 knots, mil. Maybe too much bank angle, that's the reason. Okay, I'm gonna go for a slowdown again. Let's see.
3 bingo fuel.
So we have on the parameters set.
Roger that, 3, RTB single ship to Kunsan.
Okay,
3 is RTB to Kunsan.
300. Full mil. Light bank, 4 pull.
And with this weather, I believe you should be fine to make a VFR recovery.
Again. I don't get it. I'll do it one more time. A real well tight time frame is getting a bit tight. Actually, I need to
Yeah, you can do VFR, no problem.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and clear you for the options, so...
Three switching to Kunsan on uniform.
Where's that?
just 17.
How are you finding it too?
It works. It worked, but I wanna do it one more time. Okay.
No, go for it. I'll be honest, it took me a lot more than one flight to get the hang of this, and even now, it's a perishable skill. I haven't practiced it enough.
Okay, let's see. 300. Pull off. 10 degrees. Pull. Now comes the horn. Nearest horizon. Only falling down, let it come down, let it come down. Now here's the pretty steep dive. Rolling wings level again.
Basically, you'll find that the more angle of bank you get at the start, the less steep you'll get, and it needs to get steep to get a really crisp one. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Part of this is you're practicing variations of bank angle and airspeed for entry, just to practice the different recoveries. And it's the kind of thing that it doesn't tend to need a hell of a lot more practicing because you're kind of expected to get the hang of that recovery. Once you know that recovery, it shouldn't be an issue again.
All right, I'm good. I think I'm gonna head home to Kunsan too. I need to actually need to watch the real world clock a bit. Have to be. I think I'm gonna need to
Altitude.
skip the debrief and we'll discuss it next time.
No worries. That's fine. If you do get a chance to send me the ACMI, I'd really love that, but if not, don't worry about it until later. And I'll, make do with the one I've taken.
Bingo. Bingo.
Yeah, I'm hitting bingo right now. Just stopped the ACMI. I think I'm gonna Leave the PC and let it compile, so probably... It depends on how fast it compiles, since there's not much going on. Could be way that it's compiled fast enough.
Gotcha.
I have something like, yeah, 15 minutes left in real world time.
Oh, jeez. Sorry for taking so long.
No, I should have watched the clock myself. It was this thing is it's one of the, yeah, I don't know how to put it. As you said, it's it's very important. It's interesting. And I did actually do much. I did do much low speed flying. I hit the horn several times when I was playing around, fooling around. But doing it in such a controlled environment, setting the parameters and all that stuff, you learn stuff. It's very interesting, to be honest.
Well, like I said, this is literally pulled from the real world tactical
That's
playbook
true.
for teaching this stuff. And yeah, one's just going to push over to Coonson.
Yeah, to the same.
Good evening, Fury 3-1. Unison Tower, clear for landing. Runway 36, jet gear down. Fury 3-2, on final.
And one's going to head out to Point Charlie for a VFR approach.
Good evening, Fury 3-2. Unison Tower, clear for landing. Runway 36, jet gear down.
Warning, 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 warning.
Gunson Tower, Panther 2 requesting VFR approach.
Good evening, Pilot 1, Unison approach. Runway 36, welcome back.
Coonson approach, Python 1, single ship F-16 over Charlie, requesting the overhead to runway 36, Coonson Tower.
Good evening, Pilot 1-2, Unison Tower, clear for landing. Runway 36, jet gear down.
Python 1-2, final.
Coonson approach, Python 1-1, reporting initial, runway 36.
I'm sorry, one that I'm squeezing in there.
No, you got room. Like I said, I'm reporting initial. You got time.
Ah, reporting, I understood. Aborting.
Roger that. Should have just said initial. Don't really need to say the word reporting in there.
Touchdown.
I got another maybe 10 seconds till the break.
Three shot enough.
Roger that. Eastbound traffic, Python 1-1, base gear stop, 3-6.
Python 1-1, Tucson Tower. Next time, wait your turn.
Oh yeah, I forgot to ask for the autonomous approach thing. Whoops.
Python 1-1, Tucson Tower. Taxi clear of the runway.
Tucson Tower, Python 1-1, clear of 3-6 at Delta. And yeah, I'm just going to park up here at the transient pads. It's, you know, time factor and all that.
Yeah, thanks. Two is showing up.
Roger that, one sec.
And I'm back on Discord.
Same.
Just loading